Hi friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today for a video using scrapbook.com exclusives. Now this card ended up being a fandom card in the end. It was not how I necessarily intended it for it to go, but when I was going through the supplies that I wanted to use today, it the up house just popped into my head. So even though this video will go up on a Wednesday, or yes, Wednesday, it's like a Fandom Friday video, just a little early. So I'm using the Smiles and Wishes clear stamp set for my sentiments, Will Hello stamp set and coordinating die for the little tiny balloons. I'm also using the Bricks Decorative A2 plate just for some fun texture in the background. And then I'm using the Mini Christmas Village Decorative die set to cut out my house. I die cut it out of lots of different kinds of paper from the Pastel Glossy Cardstock. I also die cut that brick A2 cover plate out of the glossy cardstock. And my background, that really pretty pastel rainbow, is from the Ombre, Ombre A2 pattern paper pad. And then finally, I die cut the two smallest of the nested stitch cloud decorative dies out of some white cardstock. So for the house, like I said, die cut a bunch of the same houses out of different glossy cardstocks, and I'm just honestly winging it here. I'm going to cut 4 of these houses in yellow, green, blue, and orange into 4 parts. There's no specific measurements. I'm literally cutting it not quite in half. I wanted the left side to be a little wider than the right side. And then again, the other way, again, not perfectly in half. I wanted the bottom a little bit taller than the top. You'll see here when I glue it together, it's going to look wonky and uneven, but I was going for wonky and uneven. I just wanted it to be kind of a fun, free-flowing style house and not specific measurements. So you could just take scissors and cut them down to however you would like. I did use the paper cutter just for a few of the pieces so I could get straight lines as guides, and then I used my scissors to cut everything else. So I did get the 4 pieces glued onto just a plain white cardstock, like a scrap piece of white cardstock that I also die cut the house out of. And then I am gluing the purple piece, which is my roof, and I'm also going to glue on the chimney as well from purple. I'll get to it after this, but I did also create some windows. I die cut them from the scrap white cardstock and then the little window panes out of pink cardstock. So I'm just gluing everything together using that white piece of cardstock that I use as the base of the house is kind of just my background piece, gluing everything to that house piece. And then just building it up from there. So again, I have my house, the roof, the chimney, and now I'm going to work on the windows and the door. I'm going to add the little window pane bars. I don't know the anatomy of a window or the parts of a window anatomy. That's not for inanimate objects, I'm pretty sure. But I'm just gluing those little plus signs onto the squares to create little windows. And I'm going to do that for all of them. For the door, I'm going to bring in some cinnamon ink, and I will add some brown ink to give it a more kind of a wooden brown door. So I'm using my pickup tool to place the door and windows roughly where I think they're going to go on the card. I do make a second card later, and I did add the kind of arch window to the roof. So I don't know why I didn't do that for this card. I should have. I think it looks really cute after I made a second one when I was done filming and taking photos. But I think, I'm just loosely interpreting the up house, just giving this little house some character. It definitely does not look exactly like the up house, but I wanted to show that you can use a generic or a simple house die. Specifically, if you want to shop my affiliate links, the Mini Christmas Village Decorative Die Set has some really cute houses in it. But I just wanted to show that you could take a non-fandom die set and make it fandom by just having fun with some colored cardstock. So I added the ombre piece of pattern paper to an A2 card base. I love the A2 paper pads because it makes it so easy just to have a card front. And I love this ombre paper pad because it gives you the look of ink blending without actually having to ink blend. And I love it. I think the colors are so pretty. This rainbow one is by far my favorite in the collection, and I'm really happy to use it today. And then I added liquid adhesive to the back of my brick die cut, and I'm just applying that to the front of the card. I added glue around all four sides and then across the background so I can get some of that brick to stay in place when I glue it to the card base. Then I realized I hadn't gotten my door done yet, so I'm going to add that ink like I talked about earlier, and then I'll glue it in place just like I did the windows. For the clouds, I'm just going to layer them around the card, and then I will work on getting the balloons stamped and colored. I had die cut 2 of the smallest clouds and 2 of the next size up, but I knew that I wanted my clouds to kind of go off the card front, kind of make it feel like the scene expands further out than what is on the front of the card. So once I have those clouds kind of outlined where I think they're going to go, this will allow me to know how many balloons I want to add to my house and just give me a rough placement before I adhere everything in place. I'm going to use a black alcohol marker friendly ink, and I'm stamping it onto some white cardstock. At first I only do 3 sets of the small balloons, but I'm going to end up doing 5 total. So once I have those stamped, I'm going to grab some Colorista art markers. I'm using a pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple to kind of match the colors of the house and the background. Now I know these aren't the exact same pastel colors. I went with fun, vibrant colors, but still wanted to keep to the same rainbow that I have going on with my pattern paper. Once I finish coloring in the balloons, I'll go ahead and grab the coordinating die set to Whale Hello, and I'll grab that small little balloon die and I'll run that through my die cutting machine off camera. Once I have all of them assembled, I'm going to kind of just dry run how I want my balloons to look. So I'm clustering them around. Again, I thought 3 would be enough, but once I get them glued together, it definitely doesn't look as full as I thought it would. So I'm going to stamp 2 more balloon sets and color them in with the same alcohol marker colors. So I'm just layering the balloons, trying to hide the end of the strings behind each other. So it just looks like the balloons are all tied together at one point. And that's going to be attached to the chimney. So you can see here when I'm trying to do a dry run of the card, it just doesn't look enough. So here are the 2 other ones I quickly stamped and colored and die cut off camera. And again, gluing these down, and I'm going to add these a little lower just to again create a bit more of a full balloon grouping. Now some of the ends of the string are going to show the way that I'm gluing these together, but you can just trim those down with some scissors. I'm going to grab some small scissors once I think the glue is dry enough, and I'm just going to trim anywhere where I see the excess sticking out past the edge of what I want to be shown attaching to my little house. So I'll trim those down, and then I'm going to use liquid adhesive again to attach the balloons to the chimney. It's a very small chimney in like relative size of everything else. So I'm going to hold it in place and just be very gentle with this. It's not going to stick very well, but everything will be fine when it attaches to the card because I'm going to use some foam adhesive to adhere it. So now that I know where my house is going to go, I can go ahead and glue those clouds down. I didn't really change the location or anything, but I didn't want to glue them down until I knew for sure where my house was going to go. I didn't want to cover up anything or make it feel like it wasn't balanced. So once those clouds are glued down, I'm gonna bring out my foam adhesive, and I covered the house and the back side of the balloons. I realized before I adhere it, I should probably make sure I have enough room for my sentiment. I want to use one of those fun kind of wavy sentiments, so I made sure that there would be room for that on the bottom left of the card. So I went ahead and attached my house and balloons to the card front. I trimmed off the excess of the cloud that was hanging over on the bottom right because the glue was dry now, and then let's move on to the final parts of adding sentiments to the card. So I am stamping the first sentiment, which is on the front of the card, and it says, "Have an awesome birthday." I love that, again, like kind of wavy look to it. I wish there was a die set for this stamp set, but that's no problem to just fussy cut it out. I cut two, and I'm using the one I like the most. I think it has the most clear stamp. I did stamp it with VersaFine, Clair, and Nocturne, and I fussy cut around it just using my scissors, and then I'm grabbing one of my foam strips. I peeled off both sides of the release paper so that way I can curve it around to fit the same curves of the sentiment, and then adding that to the left side of the card. Now I did also stamp happy birthday, which is kind of a larger, bolder sentiment on the inside of the card, but I didn't record it. But that is also on the card. Next, I'm adding just a little bit of pops of color in Snowflake, which is a clear glitter, and I'm just adding it to one balloon on each of the clusters just to give it a little bit of shine, but not too much shine. Here's a final look at how my up-inspired house birthday card turned out. I know it's kind of some weird supplies on there, but I really like how it turned out. I think the background just gives it some cool texture. I like the clouds, and I hope you had fun with me today creating this fun fandom card. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!